Hello, everyone. It's Matthew Orr from Wet Ink Games, and I am joined today by Irvin Jackson. And Irvin is a writer for various role-playing game companies, for Palladium Books. He's written for us at Wet Ink Games. He's an artist. He worked on the Hull Breach. That was a CCG, LCG? Was that CCG?
Collectible card game.
Collectible card game. All right, awesome. And he's a comics creator with the webcomic Ascension Chronicles, and he's the managing editor of a legal news website. So very accomplished individual here today. Welcome, Irvin.
Hey, thank you, everybody.
All right, so we're going to find out here, Irvin. We're going to make you choose. No amicus briefs filed ahead of time, but you're gonna have to choose between these things. So if you had to cosplay as either Green Lantern or Green Hornet, who would you choose?
Oh man, I think I'd go Green Hornet because I look better in a suit than in skin tight glowing green, which apparently even Ryan Reynolds can't pull off apparently. So definitely with the Green Hornet, he's got some style to his superheroism.
All right, awesome. All right, now we're going to wind it back, and this is maybe a softball, but I don't know. So okay. For your space shows from the 90s, would you rather watch Babylon 5 or Space Above and Beyond?
Oh, Babylon 5 easily wins because it's a show for writers. And for people who like writing. I really liked Space Above and Beyond. In fact, I have this DVD collection for Space Above and Beyond, which interestingly enough, on the first DVD, somehow they screwed up, and there's actually the Babylon 4 space station in the Space Above and Beyond DVD on the intro. So funny you picked those two.
Well, I know back in the day I watched them both, so I thought you
Babylon
would have an opinion.
5 inspired me as world building and how to make a world based on real people. I think Babylon 5 was kind of the precursor to the Battlestar Galactica reboot, and many people said Bab 5 is the first binge show.
I can see that. This is supposed to be lightning rounds. We'll have to talk about this second. We could talk off there. So we got to ask you about more space stuff. So Captain Janeway or Michael Burnham from Discovery?
I'm gonna have to go with Michael Burnham.
All right.
I know a lot of people aren't big Discovery fans, but it actually, I think because the bar was set kind of low, it really was hard for it to impress me, but it actually did impress me. And Burnham's story arc is a story arc of a person, and Janeway's story arc is a story arc of a paragon, of an icon. And I always go for the person's story, the person who's fallen and has to get back up, as opposed to the person who's already up and who never falls.
That's good. That makes sense. All right, so I have no explanation as to why this one, but flan or soft serve ice cream?
Duh, soft serve ice cream.
All right. And then last one, do you like your tabletop in person or do you like the new all online?
It's got to be person. I mean, I do online, and I've been running online because of this. And I've actually run online before this.
Sure.
Certain games, I have friends across the country. But for me, bread and butter is DM screen, dice, books, Mountain Dew and chips, and people around the table, trying not to distract for an hour off some crazy subject. Like, it's just because it should be in the end about friends and getting together and having fun.
Excellent. All right, thanks for engaging in that the either or section there. All right, so we mentioned Ascension Chronicles, and it's your webcomic. You've been doing it for, well, I don't know how long you've been prepping it, but it's been like coming out regularly for like a year or almost
Since
now?
I think I launched in October, and I update every weekend.
Awesome. So I want to ask you about like that. I can
Mhm.
imagine it's a Herculean effort to make a page every week, or maybe it's not. I don't know, but like you've got the render time because it's all part of the process there. But like, what is that like as a artist and a writer and both at the same time? And like, is it different to make a project like a web comic where you know that it's going to have pictures with it that you're going to put up together, or is it as compared to like writing text for like a role-playing game where like that art is going to be sent out by somebody else, and you don't necessarily have that control over it?
It
What's
is it is a completely different animal when it's something that you're doing entirely by yourself. And here's why. Here's the main thing. When I am writing for a role-playing game company, or if I'm doing art for a collectible card game like Hull Breach or somebody's book cover or something like that, I have only one vector of input in which I can guarantee all the information I want is getting to the reader. If I'm doing something like if I was working on one of the Robotech books and I had to describe a character class or an event, I have to, I know there's going to be nice art with it because I trust the people that I work with, but I can't rely on any of the art to convey any particular one concept, theme, or idea. When I am working on a web comic, I am able to say, I know the writing is going to be this, and I know the art is going to be this. So if I want to have this emotion, then I can put it through the art, while I have these words I can put through the writing. And that gives you a lot more flexibility. Constantly one of the things I go back and forth with is this concept of this particular panel, this particular page, is it better visual or is it better written? Is it better dialogue or shown?
Mm,
Quite often, sometimes it's hard to say as a writer, but show is better than tell quite often.
yeah,
And when you know what's going to be shown, it allows you to better decide what you're going to tell.
that makes sense. And so do you kind of like does it happen back and forth? Sometimes you know what you're going to say first and then you have to show it, or do you sometimes it comes like it's going to
It
be this
happens.
expression and then you decide the dialogue later?
It happens back and forth. Most of the time, I have a rough draft of what's going to be said, and dialogue and text and all that, and like the page, how it's going to play out. Because with a comic, people think of it as individual panels, but really, when you're trying to do a page, you're actually looking at the whole page as a piece of art. Or I think that you should. And sorry, it is difficult to separate those two things. So often my creative process is both at the same time. A lot of times, honestly, it's just sitting there daydreaming about what I want it to look like and then jotting down notes and things like that. Sometimes I'll have a picture in mind or a scene. This happens a lot with the space stuff. If you go look through it, like a lot of times the space scenes and the big one, the image came first, and then
Yeah.
sometimes I'm trying to find a way to work it in. Okay, I got to show this,
you you got those splash pages where you see like the whole space station with the planet behind it and ships coming and
Right.
going and stuff like that. It's like there might be one little dialogue down in the corner or something like that.
Yeah, exactly. Sometimes you just want to give some people some beauty, and sometimes you have something that you just want to relay that you think is cool and awesome, and you try to work it in.
That's awesome. All right, thanks for letting us see that part of how your brain works.
No
Uh,
problem.
yeah, I want to turn now to a project where you didn't do any art for, just some writing, but there was a little bit of back and forth with some of the monsters. Wrote some descriptions, and then some of those got turned into art, and then I think it happened the other way also, where you had art that you just put descriptions to. But you worked on Never Going Home with us. You were a contributor to the original book, to the Tome of Corrupted Beasts. I think some of your work ended up in the Book of Whispers, I think.
Mm-hmm.
And then of course, you've been working on the campaign dossiers. You're the lead writer for the Blood on or Bones in the Dust, which is the Gallipoli-based campaign dossier. So talk to us about Never Going Home and anything you want to say about the campaign dossier for Gallipoli.
All right, so the thing that so the whole concept of Never Going Home was really exciting to me because and you'll see this in my comic over time, is that I'm a horror fan, but it's a very particular kind of horror. Like, I'm not a big fan of stuff like Saw or things like that, but the Lovecraftian eldritch horror is, oh my God, I've always loved that stuff. And Never Going Home is just chock full. It is what it is.
Right.
You know, it is Never Going Home is eldritch horror at its like finest and, you know, most defined and pointed. Like, this is eldritch horror, and I love that. And one of the things I always loved about eldritch horror was figuring out the mystery of what happened, knowing you'll never know the full answers, and the mystery always teases you. And you guys gave me the opportunity to work on the Ottoman Empire. And I thought when I read everything else, that the thing that this is missing is a tie back to the past, kind of the hint that this has always been here. And we just screwed up enough to open the door all the way. And the Ottoman Empire and the ability to delve into the mysticism in the background, and, you know, just showing that at least one culture had a hint. And even the stuff that I wrote originally was actually, a lot of it was kind of before the main events of Never Going Home took place. And I thought it worked as foreshadowing, you know, and I like giving the players a chance, I should say, to explore what is all this about. And in the end, not actually telling them, but giving them ideas to run away with. And it actually helps the game master too, because the game masters, you don't ever have to stick by what the authors say is the truth for a world.
Sure.
You know, you can say, hey, I like this idea better. And if you can give them a little fuel for that, that's great. If you can give DMs a little bit of a, you know, throw them a line, throw them a bone where they can follow, which is what these new books are all about, you know, quite frankly.
Yeah.
But yeah, the ability to explore that background mystery of Never Going Home was one of the things that I really, really liked about doing that project.
Awesome. I did want to ask you too about like the original material that you put together. It wasn't an adventure, so you've gotten to write some adventures now for the second book. So, and not just setting material and descriptions and stuff like that. So, like, is it a little bit different, or was it different, or was it? What did you think about like having to actually put like, and now you go here, and now you do this, and now you run into this thing?
It is, because so I am, like, when I run my own games, I am very, very open world. There's a story thread, but if the crew just kind of goes off, I have other things like planned and in the offing. And being able to write an adventure that is both has a line, has a path, but also kind of stays just a little bit open for people to float within that path. That's a challenge, and but it's a fun one, and I felt like I got some of that in there in those adventures, and then those adventures kind of told a larger story. But I also think that it's always good that the game master who's running it can pull and pick chunks and pieces of story and do with them what they want. So if they see one of those adventures, they don't want to do the whole thing as is. There's still story seeds inside of the adventures that they could just pluck out and do with whatever they want. Yeah. And I like that. And I also like the fact that adventures say, we told you about the world, here it is in practice.
Yeah, nice.
Here's how it actually plays out in our minds as the writers.
Sure. All right, cool. Yeah, I know, I mean, we can talk a lot about it. I know Brandon always says that the GM never needs permission to do anything, like, you know, so if you pull something here, pull something there, invert the adventure, make it happen in reverse, you know, like
Mm-hmm.
do whatever you want with it. So yeah, it's given the game masters and those tools is part of what the book's about for sure. All right, Irvin. Well, let's talk about what else you might be going on in the Nerdiverse. Like, what else are you doing? You already talked some about your comic, but you can talk more about that or some other projects that you have on the horizon. What's up?
The comic book is kind of my main focus right now. Ascension Chronicles. It is sci-fi, science fiction that has an undercurrent of horror that slowly comes out over time. On its face presentation, it appears it is more military sci-fi. You think Babylon 5, Battlestar Galactica, not campy like Starship Troopers, but it's saga of a space pilot, but it has underneath of it, there's like a Lovecraftian layer that the heroes begin to unravel over time. And my goals, like I think all science fiction has to be a character story, it has to be personal. And this is a lot of it's about fatherhood and family and how you deal with conflicts amongst those you care about, how you deal with conflict in general, and how war can change people for good or ill, and how you can't box your enemies into a certain classification that, even though it's sci-fi, that is inhuman, that dehumanizes them.
Right.
Even the, not quite, I wouldn't say campiest, but even the most obvious villains, or evil and alien invaders, should have an actual reason for what they're doing that makes some sense from their perspective.
Right.
Even if it's completely something that you have to destroy, and the main character has to kind of go on that journey throughout this series. And it's going to be a long one. I've been working on this universe since I was like 13. I've had like home role-playing games in it. I have a bunch of players who are still like, can we play that game again and go back to that universe? It's a world built over a long period of time. And it's nice to finally get into it and explore it at a personal level.
Cool. Yeah, I know. I was looking through. I'm certainly not current on it, but I am aware of it, and I dip in every once in a while. And I remember when I first got to all the scenes of the humans, and the humans are all talking, and then there was a page, and it's like, oh, now we're on the alien bridge because these aren't humans anymore. And I didn't know that it was going to give both sides at all. It was the first time that had happened.
And I'm dripping it in at first, and then you'll see it happen a little more over time.
Mm-hmm.
So you'll see, like in that one, there's just a couple, like a page or two panel here during a battle, and you get the perspective, and it starts out very, and this is on purpose, it's almost a little cliche villain, but then the next time you're going to go in, you're going to see, oh wait, there's a whole other level to this.
Sure.
And over time, as you go, you'll get more of them, and it'll get deeper into their story.
Awesome. Well, I need to read more of it. I got
everybody in the world needs to read more of it.
Yeah. Tell all the watchers where they can find it.
They can find it at ascensioncomic.com, or they can look on Webtoons for the Ascension Chronicles. That one's a little more mobile phone friendly because I am not the greatest website architect.
All right, there you go.
They can also find a lot of the art on my DeviantArt page, which is IL Jackson, and you'll find like just random pieces of art and backstory and just little tidbits. And I have a Patreon for it, which will be linked on most of that stuff. And the Patreon people get character profiles, they get a newsletter, they get things like ship stats, they get planets and organization profiles, and HD artwork, and large versions of what I think are the prettier panels and things like that.
All right. Well, there you go. Go check it out if you're interested in it. Irvin, are you ready to do close it down this operation here with a little 5 minutes of pitch-o-rama
Sure,
with
let's
me?
have it.
All right, so I told you how it works before, but just so this is anyone's first time listening to one of these videos, going to set a 5-minute timer. I'm going to throw out just a real small little idea, and then you and I are going to go back and forth for 5 minutes and kind of expand that idea out and see if it's what kind of media it is, what kind of game it is, what else it needs, whatever. I don't know. I only know the seed. I only know where we start. All right, so here we go. So I think I'm not incorrect to understand that you like anime. Is that
Oh, yeah.
right? So you know how there's always that character that's like inexplicably has some animal trait, or will do the SD thing and get like just wildly gesticulate on occasion or whatever, and
Mhm.
every anime has these kind of characters, but like even in anime where there are any other characters like that, they still have at least one character who's like this.
Mhm.
So I want to take that trope and I want to explain why some people are this way, like almost do like the gritty reboot of like just super deformed things, like not necessarily that, but like there has to be some reason in the universe why this form of expression or ability to express themselves so transformationally happen.
So can I just jump right in?
Yeah, please.
All right.
It's counting down.
So
Jump in.
these creatures always have unusual abilities and characters have powers, and you never know where they're from, and you almost never see like family. You occasionally like see a parent that might be kind of silly like them or something like that, but usually they're out of nowhere and there's no explanation for what they can do or why they have cat ears, stuff like that. So the
Right.
obvious thing is something is making them.
All right.
And something is making them to fit into human society, to learn about human society. And it has not quite mastered what humans are all about yet. And that explains their emotional outbursts, their strange behavior. They haven't learned what it truly means to be human. And that's why they're there. That's why they attach to the main character and follow them, because they almost never are the main character. They're almost always like a sidekick or something like that. They're following that character through their adventure because whatever God or being created them knows that individual has a destiny and has figured out that is the best way to learn what humans are all about, what they're about under pressure, what they're about under stress, what they're about under family situations and personal situations. And so they send these beings down who are almost human. They have a little bit of power to survive on their own, and then they learn and observe. And maybe this being observes through their eyes, which kind of gives them a little bit of a spooky trait.
Sure.
But it explains why their behavior is sometimes so erratic and why you never know where they're from and their powers aren't explained.
I love your immediately you had the headcanon right there. Like I love it. So what kind of thing would we do with this then? Like you're talking about the stress and pressure. So it's almost like you could have I mean, there's some games that do like the sort of the party dynamic where like the hero character isn't in the party. The players around the table are playing like the companions of the hero.
Mhm.
You know,
So I would throw a cover. I would do an open world,
okay,
a single person RPG where you're the hero character and you get transported to the world or dimensional realm which is entirely populated by these things so that you're the standout.
Okay.
And what
I like
you find
that.
is there are different factions, different creatures, and different beings, and they're trying to figure out how to live and how to exist as independent beings by observing humans. And your actions would guide them, like each different faction would be missing some component of what it means to be human. Maybe these people here are missing humor. Maybe these are missing empathy and they're very cold. Maybe these are missing love. And then your character would go through those in addition to adventures and excitement and monsters and all this other kind of stuff.
Sure.
And work your way up to their God, basically, or the being that created them, and explain what it is they don't get. and thus making those creatures kind of whole. And also in some cases, explaining to them that be your own thing is fine. You don't have to be exactly like us.
Right. So with you say it's a single player RPG, like you think in video game terms, or you thinking
Yeah,
like,
I'm kind of like, I thought it would be cool in video game terms to be able to,
almost like a
Mass
Metroid.
Effect, or
I was thinking like a Metroidvania style where you've got to like teach different parts of the universe to love,
yeah, I think,
or to laugh, to advance.
Yeah, I would think it'd be great if you could do something with that using like Mass Effect or Skyrim type mechanics, where you're just immersed and they just come up to you and you have these adventures and they're random, but they make this big overarching story about what it is to be human.
Interesting. I love it. I think it's a cool idea. Get ready for that. The next web comic after Ascension Chronicles.
That's a big. Don't commit me on that.
All right. Thanks for playing that game with me. And thank you, Irvin, for this whole interview. Thank you for sharing your insights and talking about your projects. Really appreciate it. You got any final words of wisdom for the people watching this video?
At the end, when you're gaming, and when you're creating, it's all about having fun. If anything at any point stops people from having fun, you did it wrong. And you can course correct. Don't ever put canon or don't put rules, and don't put any of that stuff over everybody having a good time. If sticking strictly to canon means you have a good time, do that. If you want things to be very intense, do that. But at the end, the only question that matters is everyone having fun? Also, during all this, everybody be safe.
Be safe.
Put your mask on, stay inside as much as you can, socially distance, wash your hands, and let's get through this together so we can do these cons face to face.
That's yeah, that'd be great. That'd be great. All right. Well, thank you again, Irvin, for talking to me. Thank you for you to watch this video for watching, and that's all. That's all that we're saying today.
Have a good one, guys.